What's up YouTube, Eugene here, and I've got Santal Royale from Guerlain out in the woods, out in the forest, out in the jungle. We're reviewing perfumes. So I had touched upon this earlier many years ago. It could have been 2015, 2016. It was a long time ago. It was right when this was released, and I remember when this came out, and and the way I responded, it wasn't very pleasantly, because it was so, it went against everything that Guerlain had. I had come to know and love of Guerlain and their fine French style. So, I mean, this wasn't their first attempt at Middle Eastern perfume. This is Santal Royale from the Absolute Orient collection. They had a Middle Eastern line previously before this that they had deconstructed and discontinued one and moved the other two to this line, and that was I can't remember the name, but with Songe d'un Bois d'été, Rose Nacree, and Encens Mythique, it was Desserts d'Orient, and they had deconstructed that line, repackaged the Songe d'un Bois d'été, turned it into Bois Mysterio, put it in this bottle. Rose Nacree was gone, and Encens Mythique was also repackaged into this bottle. So yeah, they had brought all of their Middle Eastern perfumes into this line. And you know, when I had first smelt this, I don't know if it was because the batch that I had smelled was so fresh, but I remember it being so obnoxiously loud and strong and giving me headaches, and I was really, you know, the aroma chemicals were kind of screaming in my head. They were sounding off all sorts of alarm bells, and I just couldn't tolerate it, and I didn't enjoy this at all. And now in 2023, I've put a huge dent in this bottle, and I'm finding myself really enjoying this for exactly what it is, a Middle Eastern rose oud that's built on a sandalwood base, accord, natural materials. I'm not sure. I would imagine there is some essence of natural sandalwood here, of the Australian kind, the drier kind, because I do get a lot of the sandalwood qualities, you know, lots of big smoked wood, charred wood. There's that butteriness, that creaminess, the milkiness, that lactonic milkiness, the fruitiness, maybe coconut. I'm not sure if I'm picking up coconut. Coconut is something that's always connected with sandalwood, but and that I might be losing that coconut out to the other fruity notes, because I'm sensing there's a big peach in here, you know, the Guerlain peach, right, that we've all come to know and love. And I would imagine there's some plum in here as well, at least a little bit, but there's a lot of that juicy fruitiness in this perfume that mixes and blends so well with all the other elements. And that's another thing. This is a very complex perfume. It is bold, it is deep, it's rich, it is ever-changing, and it lasts, you know. I enjoy pretty much from the spray, the starting spray, to whenever the ending time is, and you never know, because this will go longer than you'll ever need it to. But yeah, it's very rich, it's very deep, it's one of the most complex perfumes that I've come to know or learn or wear, and it's just a fantastic wearing experience. So I no longer get that screechiness. To me, it's maybe with the maceration that's really warmed up, rounded off. All those sharp edges have been kind of sanded off, you know. I get a lot of powdery aspects, smoky aspects. I get the rose oud, very velvety rose, very prominent rose. I think it's also a fruity rose, but it's smoky and dry, and it's got all sorts of nuances to it. I see it as this big, lush, deep red rose. And the oud, of course, you know, it's more of that typical Eastern style oud, but it's done really well, really well. And then there's going to be those people that are hardcore oud enthusiasts, and they're going to say, oh, no, that's no good. And then there's going to be people saying, yeah, that smells just like the stuff we can buy back home for 25 bucks, you know? So, you know, somebody's going to be looking up, somebody's going to be looking down. but I'm looking at it from just Santal Royale's perspective and what it does. And I think for what it does a great job. If you're into this Middle Eastern, smoky, charred, dark, really dark perfume, musky. There's a lot of musk in here, like heavy musks, you know. It is animalic, and it is dry and dusty, almost like a church or a mosque or a place of worship, you know. It has a lot of those elements, almost like a fine Persian rug that's spent years inside of a mosque, and it's filled with the essence of oud and rose and smoke, you know, sweet smoke, savory smoke, and that sort of thing. It's just the way that it interplays and comes together. All the notes, they're very deep. At any given time, you could be smelling 3, 4, 5 different things, and they all they come together really beautiful. But I've really been enjoying this from this line. This is one of my favorites, along with the now Bois Mystérieux, which is also another woody, smoky, dry, incensey sort of thing, and Encens Mythique. But, you know, from all the other, let's say, Western world or designer rose ouds, I would say this is amongst one of my favorites. So if we're looking at Louis Vuitton, they've got what is theirs? Their rose oud is what the hell is their rose oud called? Ombre Nomad, right? That's another big, bold, rich, deep perfume. I would categorize this with that one. If you like Ombre Nomad, I think you'll like this. I actually prefer this. I find this is just as deep, but more nuanced and more complex. You know, that one is also very deep and rich and bold, but this is my preference if I had to pick. So if you like Ombre Nomad, if you like Oud Isfahan, you might like this. Oud Isfahan, what else? Diptyque's got Oud Palau. So there's a bunch of them. Armani's Rose d'Arabi, right? So those rose woody oud concoctions, very spicy. This is very spicy. It's got a big cinnamon in here, very spicy cinnamon, and I can see, you know, big flashes of red. It's got an orange blossom, again, another fruity orange blossom, and in that orange blossom I get this sort of like this brush stroke of metallic vibe. It doesn't make the whole fragrance metallic-y, and I'm not a fan of metallic perfumes, but I accept this because it's just like a corner of the page that is brushed with a little bit of metallic qualities, and it adds a really nice like nuance and character to it. So yeah, very lovely, very smoky, very incensey, dry, dusty, fruity, like so fruity. And the fruit notes mix, I think they're the star of the show. The fruit notes are what excites me in here, along with kind of like the textures and the feelings. The textures are very powdery, very grainy. You get the grains from the sandalwood. They almost have this like instant coffee texture, right? Like the Nescafe feeling. That's sort of the grit, the resins, sort of that kind of charcoaly feeling. And then you have, you know, the pastel-y powders that come around, the really warm pastel-y powders. They're really cozy, very warm. They're very like, almost like wearing a favorite sweater or something, you know, a very well-fitted, well-knitted sweater. It's very cozy. And then in the base you have your not typical Guerlain vanillas, but, you know, hell, if somebody's going to do a mainstream vanilla, well, it's going to be Guerlain. And this is a mainstream. This is a mainstream rose oud. This is, again, mainstream for some. It'll be challenging for others, though. So I really need to be careful with my words. But it's got that vanilla. It's got that ambery base, you know, so adding more colors, more textures, a big amber accord to this. And I, you know, love it or not, but it's quite genius in the way that Thierry Wasser was able to fit so many components to this perfume, so many elements, so many ingredients, so many nuances and still have it this big, this bold, this loud, this luxurious. It's not something that I really see like this. You know, Kouros comes to mind. Even Frederick Moll's, his Rose Oud, not the night, not the moon, right? This is almost as big and colorful and kind of has that sort of development. You know, it's a big book. The moon is a big book. Kouros is a big book. YSL's Kouros. This is a big book. I would consider it along those lines, a very big, sophisticated Rose Oud. Very plush. You know, it has that warmth, that pastelliness, the sort of I get that, you know, the pastelly vibe I get from Chanel perfumes, the way they're soft and cozy and almost feel like wearing a rubber suit. I get a lot of that here, is the pastelly kind of creaminess, warmth, just something that would draw me in even more. Creamy isn't the word I'm looking for. It is creamy, but it's like swirly as well, and just, I don't know, like buttery, you know? It's all of those and more. It's a great perfume. And I know hardcore Guerlainistas are going to say, oh, no, that's shit. And, you know, it could be shit. It could be shit. It's not shit for me, I'll tell you that. I really enjoy this. There was a time where I didn't like this and it was like too loud, but I think you need a specific type of personality to wear this. You can't have a soft perfume heart, you know. If you have a soft perfume heart, you're gonna hate this, right? You have to kind of break out of that softness. You got to break out of this soft perfume heart in order to appreciate things like this. But I think it's a great Rose Oud sandalwood perfume, even though it's modern and it's very different from the things that I customarily wear. I've really, really come to enjoy this, and almost everybody that I encounter enjoys this as well. Everybody in my space that comes across me, they've all come to really appreciate Santal Royal. So I honestly think this is one of Wasser's most finer works. When I look at everything, Thierry Wasser, the perfumer behind this, when I look at everything that he's created, this is amongst like one of my favorites to wear. This Ensemble Mythique, Habit Rouge Privé, not Privé, dress code. Dress code has, so Habit Rouge dress code, you know, the heart of it, the smokiness of the heart, it has this smoky, leathery, kind of praline-ish heart, sort of, will, you know, it kind of reminds me of this, although it's very, very different. But the heart of that, just kind of like the character of that smoky heart. Big labdanum in here too as well, so it's got that. I get a lot of browns, a lot of deep, lush browns, smoky browns, woody browns. So big labdanum in here. So there you go. Santal Royal, Guerlain's Rose Oud. But also a really good sandalwood too. Modern day sandalwood. Let us know what you think of this. Love it? Hate it? Are you on the fence? Have you smelled it? I'd love to know what you guys think of Santal Royal. And I love seeing your faces in the comments. So there you go. I'll talk to you soon.